Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Speak Life podcast. We are so excited to have you with us for another amazing week. I am your host, Minister Phoenix, alongside this beautiful and amazing wife of mine, and also the best co-host that anyone could ever ask for when they're jumping and doing a podcast.
Hey guys, welcome again to the Speak Life podcast. This is your co-host, the one and only Shika. We are so happy that you're here with us today.
Yes.
We're excited.
Yes, we are. And because we know you could be rocking with anyone else, but you choose to give your time to listening to what we are doing. So we appreciate you. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, make sure you make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment to be a part of these amazing conversations.
You don't want to miss that.
You don't want to miss this. And if you tune in week after week, whenever the podcast drops, we appreciate you. We appreciate your faithfulness. We appreciate y'all tuning into us. We appreciate you.
Yes.
And we are happy to be back. I will say we are happy to be back from a nice, well-needed vacation. Vacaciones, and I feel like, you just got out of school. You're officially done with school for the summer semester.
Yes.
And we had to get away. We just
had to get away.
We had to take a break. It was like with everything being all sporadic and everything, I think it was definitely time for a break. And I know that y'all have been waiting like, what happened? Where'd y'all go? That's where we went. Yeah. We went on vacation. And it is necessary. We love being able to do the podcast. We love being able to have these conversations. But you have to know when it's time to take a break. Mm-hmm. Now, this week, in the essence of taking a break, we're going to talk about a very important topic. And that is this thing called balance. Balance. Yes, the importance of balance. Why it is important. A lot of times we try to multitask, and rather than, doing a lot of things fantastic, we end up doing a lot of things horribly because we lack this skill called balance.
Yes.
So, let's start off our conversation with this. How important is balance? How important is it? In your opinion, in your expertise.
So it is very important that people actually balance things in their life. Because for me, this vacation that we just took, I needed it. So I just being in class and just the summer alone, the way it started out very busy for us.
Yeah.
And at one point you were in school beginning of summer, and then you end, and then I started mine, and it's like never stop. It's never ending.
Cycle.
So I felt like I was about to lose my mind. Like I was ready to pull my hair out because it was so hectic. Balancing family life and then school, being a mother, a wife, because it take a lot of work.
To be a wife.
It takes a lot.
It takes a lot to be
a wife. So, and not just that, but just to be a mother, and also for my own,
personal health and well-being. Yes,
it was a lot.
It is taxing.
So, after summer class ended for me, I was like, yeah, we definitely need to go on a break, on vacation.
It was like Southwest. You want to get away? Yes. We want to get away.
So we went away and we had a great time with family. And
shout out to the fam.
Just hanging out. And it was just a relaxing time for us. So back to the question. I think
balance. It's okay. You was reminiscing. Nothing wrong with that.
But it's very important to balance, because when you balance, you refresh yourself. You're able to give yourself a whole new perspective and thinking. Like, you clear your mind, you clear all the stress of life. You just go away, and it's like you don't think about anything, you don't think about doing nothing. If you don't want to get up out of bed, you don't have to get up out of
and
bed.
sure
If
didn't.
you don't want to think or answer phone calls, you don't have to.
I was straight off the
if
grid.
you don't want to return text messages, you don't have to.
You don't even
Like,
know where we
I
at.
literally, like, my phone was on Do Not Disturb.
D and D.
Like, my phone was on Do Not Disturb because I did not want anybody to tell me, not like you don't want to talk to people when you're away, but it's like, I just don't want
Nothing
the
personal,
wrong-
but I don't be wanting to talk to people while
no,
I'm away.
I just don't want the wrong text, and then that disturbed my whole vacation.
Whole vacation messed
So
up because
I
you
was
want to answer
like-
text messages.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I have to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And if it's something important, because, you know, we still have family, you know, back home or whatever, you know, you still have responsibilities. So if it's something important, then I'm like, okay, I'll see it.
They'll leave a message.
And they'll leave a message or something like that.
Shoot me
but
a text.
I think it's important to shut things away.
Mm.
Like, put away your phone, put away, like, just have that time where you could just think. And even if you don't want to think, just have that time where you could just do whatever you want, not because you have to. So it's very important.
That was beautiful. I'm gonna be real. If you were not in my area of proximity when we was on vacation, I wasn't answering your calls. I wasn't no text messages. It was like, no. Any stressors or anything related to responsibility and stuff back home, you was not hearing from me. And my thing is this. Balance is like this. And we know this. Too much of anything can be a very
problem. Yeah.
bad thing.
Yeah.
Too much of anything can be a bad thing. Too much of work can be a bad thing. Not saying working is bad, but too much work
Yeah.
can be a bad thing. Too much of ministry can be a bad thing. Too much of vacation can be a bad thing.
So you spend too
You
much.
know, and that's what I'm saying. You know, so just thinking of too much of anything, whether good, bad, or somewhere in between, too much of anything can be a horrible thing. So you have to be able to balance things out. You know, if you work hard, you need to be able to take some time where you just forget about work. If you're laboring hard in ministry, you know, almost every day out of the year, or you have your responsibilities, your ministry contacts that you do, you need to have some chances to just get away, to recharge, to relax, to not think about anything, to clear your head. Like you said, it helps to bring fresh perspective. You know, it helps to get yourself recharged, to be able to face what you have to do and your responsibilities when you come back home. If you're at home, well, if you're on vacation and you're steadily connected to the things that you're doing back
you're
home,
not on
that
vacation.
ain't vacation. you just working remotely.
Yeah.
That's what that is. You working remote from wherever you are.
are.
If you is somewhere tropical and you still dealing with the stuff that you was doing at home, you working remotely from your tropical climate.
And I want to add that, you know, because I used to struggle with this, especially when you're in ministry. I want to add that when you're on vacation, do not feel guilty that you take some time
It
to
is
go
okay.
on vacation.
It's okay to go on
It's
vacation.
okay. The work will go on.
It is
And
okay.
It's okay to, like, not answer calls. It's okay to not
Sometimes you just have to unplug from it all.
you have to.
You literally
you gotta get
have
away.
to.
You have to.
I'm not working remotely. I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
I'm off the grid. So
But I feel like there's people who don't understand that. They'll be like, "Oh, you're on vacation and you avoid it." No, it's called vacation for
I am
a
vacationing.
reason. And you're not being disrespectful if you're saying, "Okay, you know what? I'm on vacation and I don't want to deal with
Anything.
the things that I would normally deal with on a given day."
all my responsibilities are, as far as like work related things, are gone when
You
I'm
know?
on vacation.
So I think it's important not to feel guilty, because that used to be me. I remember maybe on vacation, I'm like, "Oh my
Confession
gosh."
is good for the soul,
I'm
sister.
like, "Oh my gosh, like, we're gonna miss a Sunday at church. Oh my gosh." I used to try to make it so that we plan our vacation so we'll be back on the Sunday to go to church. And now I reach to the point where I'm like, "Honey, it's okay.
It's
You're not
okay.
going to hell if you
miss a
decide
Sunday.
to miss a Sunday because you're
If
going
you
on
miss
vacation.
a Sunday to go on vacation, it's all right.
And I feel like, honestly,
God
it comes
understands.
it comes with a lot of maturity for me, because a lot of things for me was not, I wasn't really thinking about, okay, like, how would God look at this? It was more so tradition. So it was a lot of traditions for me. And when you grow up a certain way, especially in a Jamaican culture, it's hard to pull away from just traditions. And I had to really pull myself away from that and say, no, all these things that people are making you feel so guilty about when you do, you're not going to hell for that.
And the thing about that, and I think this is, and this really would go with the next thing that I want to talk about, but I'll hold it. I'll just table it for a second. It's like when things are in improper balance, that's where you run into trouble. It's like I'm just gonna go into it and
go into it.
I'm gonna go into it because this is really the gist of why balance is so important. It comes to the dangers of when things aren't in balance. Like when you're doing too much, there's this thing that will hit you like a brick wall and you won't even know where it came from. You know what that's called? Burnout.
Burnout
You
is
will
real.
burn yourself out if you don't take time to step away from things. And it doesn't matter what context we're talking about. It doesn't matter if we're talking about secular or if we're talking about in the church. If you don't take time to get time away, to be able to reevaluate, to be able to, just take time to refresh yourself, you will burn
out
yourself out.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very, very dangerous thing.
And it's important for you to actually know yourself and know when things are getting to be too much for you and know when you need to step back.
And this is one thing that you talk about a lot, which I think is very important, is that self-awareness piece.
You have
to be.
And for me, it's I would always say I'm in my head a lot and I think a lot.
I would second that notion.
But you know what though? I have to, because it helps me to become aware of myself.
Okay.
And I think I think a lot because
You think a lot? Well, I know you think a lot, but this is the reasoning behind why you think a lot? Okay, all right.
Because I'm always trying to make myself understand me. And I don't need someone else to tell me, well, you should do this, or because I'm already aware of it. I'm already thinking about it. I'm already know that, okay, Sheikah, you get so tired or worked up over it. Why? And I answer my own question, and then I try to have a solution for it. So I'm like, it probably would be like I'm ahead of myself then.
In these latter years of marriage, there's one thing that I'm really noticing about you. I have never realized how over the top analytical you are. And when I say that, I don't mean it. I don't want you to think I mean it in a bad way, but I've never realized how analytical like you are. Like you are like,
I analyze a lot.
You are like, oh my gosh. It's like a computer up there where it's just like, it's like no matter what pops up, your brain is always working on something.
But
and that's not a bad thing. I don't want you to think it's a bad thing.
I know it's not a bad thing, but in some sense, like, and I find myself doing this a lot, where I could be in a room filled with people, right? And I always have a smile on my face. So I'm smiling or I'm like just looking, and I stare a lot, but my stare is not like, sometimes I'm staring and I'm not even thinking about the person who I might be looking at. I'm staring, but in my head,
your brain is going 100 miles an hour.
And not only that, but I could be in that room and I'm literally, every person I look at, I'm analyzing them.
Uh-oh.
And I'm thinking, and based on, I'm watching your body language, I'm watching the way you're talking.
So you literally out here reading the room.
I'm literally, and I don't don't do it on purpose.
It's just how you program.
It's just how my mind is programmed, and I'm literally taking everything. It's like a robot or a machine that's just not missing anything. And I'm looking, and I'm very aware of my surrounding. And I'm looking, and someone might say, "Wow, she's still a lot. She's like stealing a lot and looking at," and I could tell who is realizing and noticing that I'm staring at them. It's just weird. It's just really weird. But I don't mean that in a bad. It's like that's just how I become comfortable with people. That's how I read people. That's how I know how I could vibe with a person. And it's just how I operate. And at one point I was like, kind of like, dang, like you go out and you're like, I'm having fun, but at the same time I have my downtime where I have to stop and kind of put my computer brain on and just like scanning everything or everyone,
gosh.
you know. And it's just me, and I've learned to love me.
No, there's nothing.
For who
No,
I
there's nothing
am.
wrong with that.
Because it's kind of like I try to control it, and I just can't. It's just hard. I'm not gonna say I can't. It's just hard, and when I don't, I feel like I find myself in. When I try to control it, I feel like I find myself in problems because I misjudge who you are, and then I put in too much, and then I realize that I'm not getting what I put in. So I have to really do that, like the scanning and the
This
analyze
is a confession
and-
episode right here.
and
I didn't
like,
even know we had confession
so-
episodes, but this
so
is a confession
that-
episode.
so that I read you ahead of time before I jump into a relationship with a person.
All right, pause right there. This is for you listeners who's ever wondered why the one and only be staring at you as if you did something wrong. It's not that she don't like you. It's not that she's mean mugging you. It's not that she has a personal against you. She's just trying to figure you out.
And then sometimes
She trying to figure you out.
But you know what? And I can also pick up on the people who are kind of like me, who are very analytical.
Oh, so you
because
catch someone
then
analyzing.
Yes. I'm like, I got you.
Oh gosh,
And I'm like,
this
I'm
is
like-
hilarious.
And then I'm like, yeah, they're reading me.
So this is really off topic, but I have to ask this question. So here's an honest question that has nothing to do with balance, but this is really good.
How did we even get on this topic?
Because
How did we get here?
I was saying how I realized that you are really analytical in these latter parts of our marriage. You know, so here's this is like some like James Bond spy stuff right here.
Oh my
so
God.
this is the question. This is an honest question.
What?
So when you find someone who is trying to read you like you're trying to read them, is there something that you have in place that like is like a counter read? It's like it's like I gotta stop them from figuring me out. So now I do this to like throw like confusion over there. You're like sprinkling confusion over the reading skills.
No, honestly, when I realized that, I can tell that someone is trying to read me as much as I'm trying to read them, or you know, I kind of in my head, I'm like, okay, I know it's hard for me to figure out, and I'm like, and then I kind of not think the worst. I'm like, okay, they probably just thinking something, like just wondering maybe why am I don't know. I just don't take it personal. I don't take it anyway. I'm just like, okay, well, they're trying to figure things out too. They're trying to figure me out. I'm like, okay. But that mostly happened with me. With me, that mostly happened with people who I don't really know as well. But people that I know really well, it happened like that, but not really as drastic as someone who I don't really know that well, or I don't really have a relationship with. But people who I'm familiar with, I'm doing it. Like I'm just trying to think like, okay, how are they feeling? Or, you know, it's always like a concern thing, or like, I wonder what's going on, or if they're okay, or something like that. But it's not like I'm trying to read you or whatever. But people who I don't really have and probably I should have said that before.
Newer people. Newer people that you're introduced to, or newer people that's being
or
introduced
people who
to
haven't
you.
been around for a while.
Oh, gotcha.
So like if I haven't seen you for a while, like a couple months or whatever, when I do, reconnect or something like
trying
that.
to see what it really is.
I'm just trying to.
Like, are we still where we was, or did something
change?
change? I got you. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So.
All right, back to the topic at hand. That was a very pleasant pleasant segue. But we're gonna get back on track. We were talking about the dangers of not having balance. And one of the big ones I was talking about was burnout. Because and one of the reasons I feel like burnout is so dangerous is because when you get burnt out, then it can really lead to a lot of other things. Like when you're doing something for so long and you're not taking a break and you get burnt out, it's like that can lead to discouragement, where you find yourself like, all right, I'm burnt out. I've been doing this for a while. It's not really, it could be working. It may not be working. It just may be too much, because there becomes a point where it's like, all right, enough of this. And when you get burnt out, it is easy to find yourself getting discouraged, especially when things are not going the way that you want them to go. I think that's one of the easiest points to find disappointment, or where disappointment, discouragement can creep in, is like when you're laboring in something. This could be work, this could be ministry, this could be relationships, this could be friendships, this could be just life goals of trying to, put things in place. It's like working towards something and getting burned out can cause you to get discouraged really quick.
Yeah, it can. And it can cause you to lose your purpose, to lose your focus, to lose where you're trying to get to. Like you have a goal and you're like, okay, you know what? This is what I need to do. This is my goal. And just by being burned out, you can miss all of that. It could stop you from getting to where you're trying to get to. And I think that the importance of realizing and knowing is that you have to know when you're getting burned out. You have to know when you're getting tired. You have to know when something is too much for you. You have to know when it's time for you to pull back and take a break and step away from whatever it is.
And I think a big thing with that is something that we talked about before, when we say, recognizing when enough is enough. I think it's also equally as important, as you said, to recognize when it's time to take a break. Like, you can have the greatest intentions in doing something. You can have the greatest intent on what you want to see accomplished. But when you're burnt out, it can really cloud the reason why you're doing things.
Yeah.
It can really cloud the steps that you need to take to get to where you're trying to get to. Like you said, you can miss out on what you're trying to do because you're burnt out. It's kind of like when you're really tired, and when we, relocated and everything, it's like, I remember it was like we just got done moving, putting together the IKEA furniture. This is a perfect example. Putting together the IKEA furniture. IKEA, I love your furniture. However, your directions are not meant to be followed when you are tired. Putting together the IKEA furniture, I was exhausted, but I really wanted to get this furniture put together. So in the midst of following the directions on this furniture, as I'm putting together, you seen it happen I don't even remember what time it was, but I put the thing together backwards, like three times. It was like 3 times. Legit, to the point where I'm looking, I was like, I swore
doubles.
I swore up and down that I was following these directions correctly. And it wasn't until I got to another part of it where it's like, I was like, oh, I did this backwards. And then it happened again. And I was like, you know what? Enough. I need to go and get some rest.
IKEA furnitures are meant to put together after you come back from a vacation.
Yes.
After you take a break, you take a break, or you take a long, nice nap.
Oh my goodness!
You're good.
I was mentally burnt out, and even though I had the directions in front of me, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that's really how it is when you burnt out. Like, you could have the greatest plans in place. You could have the directions. You could have the blueprint for doing something amazing. But when you burnt out, your mind cannot mentally
follow and
focus what you need to do.
It's true.
I think another byproduct of being burnt out, we talked about discouragement, but I think, it can cause strain on relationships. And what I mean by that, and it doesn't have to be like a intimate relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be a working relationship. I think, when you don't take that time to just take a break, sometimes the frustrations of where you are in that moment can be taken out wrong on the wrong people.
Oh yeah, definitely. That happened all the time. Like anyone who really know me, and maybe it's just you. Maybe it's just
It's like
you.
anyone who really knows me. Well, I think you're the only one who really knows me.
Yeah. So like when I say really know me, like know me, like
No, I get it.
when I'm tired.
Oh gosh, leave her alone.
When I am tired, there's two things. When I am tired and when I am hungry.
Feed that woman.
Like I am the most crankiest person.
I will concur,
Those two.
doctor.
So for me, it's like it's important to really take that time to know where you are at that moment. Because like you said, depending on where you are at that moment, depending on like who is gonna get the rash of what, or the wrath of you as a person. And I think because you're the closest person to me and you're always around and you're always there and we're always together, I feel like you see it a lot more than my friends or anybody else. There's times I always try to walk with an ensure, not because I'm not eating, but I feel like there's times when I'm so busy and I'm on the move nonstop that I don't have time to grab something to eat. So I walk with an ensure so that I could quickly drink it and I will feel I'm not full, but it's helpful and it's okay for the moment. Like
Shout out to
it does
Ensure.
its job in that moment. So I'm not walking around cranky at the world.
Like She-Hulk. You don't want to make me angry. Ah!
And I'm not driving around and there's no road rage. Or anything like that because...
You do be road raging when you be hungry.
But I don't think...
You are very impatient when you be driving and you be hungry.
If I'm hungry, yes.
I will say
I'm just
that.
trying to get home or I'm just trying to get something
to eat.
You
That
know?
is true.
And that's the impatient part of it is when I'm tired or hungry, I don't have it
At
and
all.
I think I'm a very patient person.
Yeah, you got some good patience. I'll give you that.
I think I am. But when I'm tired and hungry,
That's a no.
all that is like out the window. All of it is out the window. And I give a lot of chances, I think, to people, to things.
There are no chances when you're tired and hungry.
When I'm tired and hungry, or when I'm frustrated, or when I'm like, I just have a lot going on. Like, I feel like when I'm in school, I'm the worst person as far as like...
I think that's me too.
To keep in track with people.
Me in school.
To keep in contact with people. To keep like... I feel like I isolate myself when I'm in school because I'm fixed on what I'm trying to do, and I just do the things that I know that I have to do, because if I don't, then I won't have a livelihood, like work, like the stuff that I need to do.
The bare essentials.
Exactly. But when I'm in school and it's a lot, if I'm having if school is a lot for me, anybody that really know me will know, because I ain't checking up on you. I ain't like, I'm doing the bare minimum. You're like, wait, what's going on? Is she okay? Yeah. That's when she goes in school. Stuff like that happen.
And that is a perfect example of when it is time for you to take a break, because the school piece, I was telling you, like, even with this year and the amount of school that you were taking up, I'm like, after like spring semester was done, you was talking about the amount of summer courses you was trying to take. I'm like, yo, babes, it's summer. Like, I saw how school was. I understand you trying to finish, but you trying to kill yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, because I know how I feel when I didn't even want to take a summer class. I'm gonna be real. Me in school, we aren't the best of friends. I got some good friends. School is not one of them.
Yeah.
And it was oh my gosh, it was a struggle for me where I was like, yo, like
You're like, I can't wait to see my grades because I don't know how I did.
I was like,
I'm doing
just hope to God. I'm like, I'm doing what I can, but God, Jesus, take the wheel, because this school thing, you pray for your boy, because pray for your boy. That's all I'm gonna say. One more to go.
Yeah. So
Pray for your boy, but that's the thing with the burnout. Like, burnout is so serious. Burnout will have you. Another danger of burnout. Burnout will make you not want to do anything at all.
it's true.
It's like, I'm so burnt out. Like, yo, I don't even want to do. I don't want to do this anymore. This was, and this is how I know. For me, the school burnout this year with the summer course was it, because it was like before school was even over, before the school year was over, I'm starting my summer class. And it's like, it started like what, late May, early June. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I got to the point where I was like so done, where I was like, yo, I'm ready to just drop out of school. This is just too much. Like, I'm ready. I don't even know.
Babe, you only have
I'm like, she's like, you only
left.
got a year left. I'm like, yo, someone got to talk me off of this proverbial ledge, because like, yo, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was like so done. I'm like, the reading's too much. The work is too much. I'm still got to go to work. And then it's like, because of the time that we would get off of work, it's like almost all the time I needed to be in class. It's like, we're commuting to go home. And it's like,
It was a lot. Yeah.
I'm like, my school year's ending. Like, the school year alone is enough to have my brain fried. And now I'm like in school on top of trying to finish school.
Yeah.
All the end of the year deadlines, all the papers and the reading and stuff. I was like, someone just need to pick me up off of this ground, because stick a fork in him. He is done.
Yeah. Burnout it will definitely, when you said that burnout will have you not want to do anything.
It has you ready to give up on everything.
I see that with myself, and I'm like, that's when I have to, like, you know what, I gotta try to manage, because you'll be like, for me, I'll be in school and doing school, and because it's so much, you'll forget other things that you have to do. So
that's that crazy balancing act.
Yeah, you can't balance. So one thing is you're neglecting something to help catch up with something else.
Yeah.
Or to keep something afloat or successful, or, you know. And in that case, for me, it's school, because then you're paying for something. You got to make sure your grades is good. You got to make sure that you're doing the work.
And especially in master's level programs, you can't get less than a B.
You can't. So for me, it's like, there's always something it's not going to be a balance. Something is going to be,
more of your energy is getting spent over here, so something's getting neglected over there.
Exactly. So I think, and what about the people who, it's like, that's their life. 2 jobs, 3 jobs, God. And plus being a mother or a father, a spouse, it's like, when do you balance?
And that is a really hard piece. And just being a teacher and seeing how some people do it, like, going through a master's program this year, I can understand why people take a year off and to go to school.
Oh yeah.
Like, why they'll take a leave of absence from work
just to go to school.
Just to go to school.
And I mean, for me, if I could do that, which I probably could, but that means that you're gonna be using your time and
it'll be a serious juggling act.
It would be kind of like, okay, is it worth it? But if you have the means, like, say for instance, if school is the only thing you have to worry about,
that would be a beautiful thing.
But if you have like so much responsibilities like we do, then maybe wouldn't be good for you to take a year off. But for me, I feel like I know that I need to finish and I want to finish. So I'm sacrificing the amount of classes that I'm taking because I have a goal and I have a deadline in which I hold myself to where I need to finish. So once I'm done, I'm done. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to I don't want to go to school for like 3-4 years.
Yeah, and that was the pacing part that I was saying. Like, sometimes if possible, then, pace yourself to prevent that burnout piece.
And it's good to have people around you that understand, because you'll have people that really don't understand
Oh, that
where you
is
are,
gold.
and you will have people around you who can't understand where you are and what you're doing, and they just be like, oh well, they're just not doing nothing.
And
But
I think that's big. I think you need to tell the people that again. It's important to have what?
it's important to have people that understand where you're at, because you will have people that, because you may not able to balance, may think like, okay, well, they don't know what you're doing, so they just think, okay, you're not doing nothing at all because you can't balance, you can't juggle so many things at once, and you're trying, and they'll be like, oh well, I don't see what that person is doing, so because I don't see it, that means they're just not doing
If I don't see it,
anything.
it don't exist.
Exactly. So I feel like people just need to be mindful of people and the things that they're doing, which with whether or not they know what you're doing, because no one is just gonna sit around and don't want to do nothing. Well, I'm not gonna say no one. You have people, at least for me, you have people. You gotta know yourself.
and that's key.
You
but
really have to know yourself and know, am I, and people, honestly though, people who really know you, or know, you know, the people that they have around them, have to know the kind of people that they have around them. Like, is this somebody who is lazy? Is this someone who don't like to work? So if you see the person who you know is always working and don't like to sit down, you see something like, okay, that's when you say, okay, wait, what's going on? You have a lot going on, I can tell. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
and I think a
Be
really
sympathetic.
big piece about that is communication. I think there's a big communication piece that goes along with that, because if you have people around you who don't understand where you are and what you're doing, it is easy for them to look at what they don't see and to be like, oh, they just ain't doing nothing, you know? And I think one of the things that, you know, I look at personally is like, talk to people, man.
Ask question if you don't understand.
Talk to people.
You
like
know, don't assume.
The value of communication, especially in this day and age, is just like so important, because like it's like the greatest asset that people have in this time is their time. And when people are investing their time in doing things, it's like you have to understand where people are at in order for you to make judgments on what they're doing, what their abilities are. And one of the things that I look at, for me personally, is this fact of, I don't want people feeling bad recognizing where they are and recognizing when it's time to take a break. Because you will have people who will make you feel bad about that. You'll have people on your job that will make you feel like it's so bad for you to want to take a vacation or for you to use your time off when you actually need it, because they see how you work or they see how you labor, and they're so caught up in the value of what you do, but they miss the value of you.
And honestly though, it's not just even at work, even in church.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, you know, and that's when it's important for the individual to have a mind of their own and have to know when something is too much, or when something is like they just can't balance. Like, it's like if they can't keep afloat. It's like it's just too much. You have to know. Because no one is going to know for you.
And no one is going, don't think for 1 minute that people will tell you, hey.
You're doing too much. Sit down.
It's time for you to take a break. It's time for you to take a vacation. It's time for you to just like,
yeah, if you
step
keep
back
on
from
doing
things.
it, they don't like, you have to know. And you have to be okay with saying, I can't. I need to take a break. I can't do this. You know what I mean? And I feel like I wasn't always like this. I feel like I was always a people pleaser. And I feel like for me, it was always like, even when I'm on my last leg and I can't go any further.
You still trying to go.
I'm still trying to go.
You still trying to go.
And I've come to realize, and maybe it's in the past, you know, with all the years of people hurting me and people just acting as if like all the work and stuff that I put into things,
It's just nothing.
It's just nothing. And it does comes with church, work, in any, anything. Like it's for me.
Relationships, friendships,
Relationship.
the whole nine.
All of this experience have allowed me, like, as I opened up my eyes and my understanding to things. So now that I've come to realize from what people show me, from situation, that Sheikah, all you have is you.
Is you.
Where when you recognize these things and when you feel like you're about to explode, it's time for you to stop. Don't wait for someone to say, oh no, you're doing too much. I could tell it's too much for you. Stop. Because it's not going to happen.
Nope.
It doesn't matter how much.
How much you do.
It's not going to happen. You have to recognize that. You have one body. And, and that's where I came in, where I understand it. And I'm like, you know what? I have a voice. I'm not living to please people anymore. I'm living to please God. I do not care. And when I say that, it may sound rude, but this is how I talk to myself. And I have to self-talk and talk myself into some sense. Sheikah, you do not care what this one or that one or whoever want to say. That's their problem. As long as I have a God and God knows my heart and he understands and I know who I am, I'm happy and comfortable and okay with what I'm doing. Because at the end of the day, I have a conscience, and if I'm doing something wrong or something that God doesn't want me to do, the Holy Spirit is going to let me know, and I know what to do. But until then, I'm not going to let man dictate what I should do or what I shouldn't do, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I do. No, people don't see the good that you do. They're quicker to see the things that you're not doing, but they don't see when you're doing.
And I think,
at least it doesn't seem like
it doesn't seem like it. I would agree with that. And I think with this comes a big piece of really recognizing where you are and being confident in who you are and how you're feeling about things. Because at the end of the day, if you let someone run you into the ground, you are no good to anybody. You're not any good to any ministry. You're not any good to any job. You're not any good to your family. You're not any good to your spouse. You are just useless. Because once this mind breaks down, there are very few things that you can do to put it back together. And I feel like that is something that is very important for us to really understand. Is like, yo, you have a duty to take care of yourself. And
what you said is perfect. And I believe that there's also people who don't realize that doing too much and not having balance, it make you lose out on your children. It make you lose out on life. It make you lose out on so important things.
Much.
You lose out on your children growing up, watching them grow up. Before you're like, wait a minute, you're like 19. When did this happen?
I'm looking at our kids now, and we are super involved.
We spend time with our kids.
And it's like,
and
I'm like,
oh my
Dad,
gosh,
these
where
kids
did time
is getting
go?
big.
So imagine the people who literally does not balance, and now their children is like adults, and you're like, man, I missed the basketball games, I missed the recitals, I missed the
playing out with you in the yard. I missed the just hanging out with you as a kid.
I miss watching movie with you because I had to be at these meetings or work and all. Like, it's not worth it.
One of the most life-changing things that I ever heard was when I was going through the ministerial internship program. And God bless her, Reverend Turnipseed.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. She told us that's true.
A woman of great, great wisdom. And one of the things that she said, and I will never forget this.
It was an eye-opener. Because you don't hear that.
I'll never forget this. I hold this till this day.
With our children.
Shout out to Reverend Turnipseed. I'm going to have to tag her in this episode. But I remember she said, listen, you only get to be a parent once. That's it. You only get to be a parent once. So if it comes between a toss-up between going to your kid's Little League game or going to a service, she's like, go to the Little League game. She's like, there will always be another service, another event, another preaching engagement, but you only get to be a parent once.
And that's, I feel like that what she said saved us a lot. Even with our children, because there's times when there's a conflict where it's like, oh my gosh, there's a church service and my child
we got revival going on all week long.
Yeah, and my child have like a music engagement because this is what he loves to do, and you're like, wait a minute, what do I do? And I'm like, oh, that's simple.
We going to the concert.
I'm going to this concert, like, you know what I mean? And sometimes people may not be happy about that, but it's like, I only get to be a parent
one time. There's no and that's the thing.
Revival.
There's no do-overs. In everything that you do, your kids remember these things.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and I think for me, one of the things that I realized in raising our kids and with these things in mind, it's like we literally will show our kids what's important. So it's like, all right, what's important to my parents? Is church more important than me? And even though they may not fully understand your obligations at church, that's how they gauge these things. It's like, what's more important?
And when you said that, it reminded me, and it comes with, honestly, it comes with understanding, and it comes with wisdom, and it comes with someone actually, like Reverend Turnipseed.
You have to have some serious, proper teaching.
Who teach us these things. Because you don't just come and know these things.
Nope.
So I remember when I first came here from Jamaica, I was running track, and track was my thing. And I loved doing it. It was something that I really enjoyed doing. It helped me so much.
I still got the medals. I got the medals, ladies and gentlemen. I got I got the track medals of hers.
With that, it's like, when I came and I was doing it, I used to go to practice, and I'm doing my thing, and I would have like leagues and stuff like that. And I remember I used to go home and, tell my aunt and my uncle, like, oh yeah, I have this game and I'm going to be running and I want you to come. And it's like, there was always something, because it seemed like whenever I have these games, it was always like Bible study or something at church. It was always something at church, and they wouldn't be able to come because it's something going on. And I didn't pursue doing track because it seemed like I was the only one who was interested, or yes, I love it, but it seemed like I didn't have anybody there supporting me. And it became discouraging, where I'm like, oh, whatever. It's just, I guess it's not important. I took it like it wasn't important, even though it's something that I like to do. And I stopped. And I think this is the first time I'm ever really saying how I was feeling, and the real reason why I'm just like, okay, yeah, no one else care. Like, what's the point? And looking at my life now, it's not like I regret not pursuing track, because who knows where I would have been. I probably wouldn't have met you.
And that would be a problem.
I wouldn't have our children. I wouldn't have. So I do love my life, and I do love my family, and love where we are now. But that's just an example to show, like, what if my life didn't come out the way it is now?
And keeping things in perspective, and balance is important, because it helps to show what we really value, like where our value lies and what's important to us, and it sends messages that we may never even realize. If it's like it's all work,
it's like, oh, you put your work before me.
If it's all work and no family, then that just tells your family that work's more important than them.
And then your children grow up thinking like, well, you never support me in this. You never think.
Yeah, it wasn't important to you.
Like, you never took care of me. Like, and kids, determine what taking care of looks like for them.
And
this is
this is the thing that, you know, we hear it so much. It's like actions speak louder than words. So we could say like,
Show
you
me
know,
your action.
I'm doing this because I love you and I'm trying to make sure you have a better life than I did. And really the things that they really want, it's like your time is so much more important than anything you could ever give them.
Yeah, that's true.
So we really have to be careful how we balance out the things in our lives, how we balance our family time with our work time. We know we all have to work because that's just the world we live in. We have to work to provide for our families, but we can't miss out on, you know, other things because our time, balancing our time isn't in, you know, the proper perspective. So we are coming towards the end. So we just want to leave our fans and our listeners off with some sort of advice. If you could leave them with something, you know, to do with, you know, balancing, how they could balance better, why they should balance better, you know, something to encourage them if they're having trouble balancing their time, you know, what's something you would leave them with?
So I think this is something that we've done, and we're very busy. I honestly cannot tell anybody that we're not busy. There's always something. I
don't even know how we be spending the time.
Summer is about to end, and I'm already looking forward to summer. Because I'm like, wow, September is coming, work again.
And honestly, like, I think for us, our summers are equally as busy as our school years because
it's like we stack everything for summer, appointments, this,
everything.
That, like everything.
It's like we may not have to work, but we're always doing something.
You know, and it doesn't help that we're in school, but
school
you know,
was a sidebar,
so to explain and to help, you know, our listeners how we balance. So just maybe you could take, you know, something from what I'm about to say, but for us doing ministry, church, work, school, wife or husband, children, podcasts, books, like business, everything that we're doing, business. He's a photographer, like everything that we're doing. Access, Minister Phoenix, the one and only. Where do you find time to do these things? And the only way we're able to do this is to try to balance. I'm not saying everything gets done equally, but we try to keep everything at least as balanced as we can. Whereas we check out each other, like, what day do you have class? Oh, you have class on Thursday. Oh, I may have class on Monday, Wednesdays, whatever. Friday, we have youth service. Our son, one of them plays the drum. He has to do his drumming on a certain time. The other one likes to run track. Whenever it's track seasons, he has his time that he do track. One of us, and we are a 2-parent household, so I know if you're a single mother or a single father, it's gonna be really hard. But we both try to pick up, like, okay, can you take this one here this day? I may take this one here. Then we have a 2-year-old.
Woo!
That's another
Woo-hoo. Woo.
work in itself. But we literally communicate with each other and try to say, okay, well, you do this day. Can you do this? Can you take this one here? What are you doing this day? What do you have to do? Now that it's summertime, we have a lot going on where it's even today, he's like, okay, babe, what are you doing this day, that day, that day? Because I have this, that to do. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe you could do it on this day because I had this to do. You know, and we just communicate with each other and try to figure out how. You know, we're all playing a role. We're all helping each other in this. When you're a family, you have to help. You have to communicate. If you're a single parent, you know, who do you have?
Your support circle. I was about to say that.
Call upon your support circle. Even though we're a 2-parent household, sometimes we can't even do it alone. I have to call on my mom. I have to call on my stepdad. I have to call, you know, like, we have to try to bring in our support system.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta lean on people, man.
You know, you really do have. So that's how we try to balance, by communicating and not being afraid to ask for help. Like, we went away on vacation. we had to ask. I had to ask my parents for help to
Feed
help
the
me with
fish.
certain- Do something, you know.
Feed the fish, please.
You know. So it's
Can you
like
pick us up from the airport?
we have to open our mouth and ask for help because you know you can't do it by yourself. We are gonna go on our anniversary, you know, little trip. We have to call on our support system. My parents, like, can y'all take care of the kids? Because we also need that balance. We went on a family vacation. The trip that we just came from was a family vacation. So we do something with the family. Now, before school start, we need to do something with ourselves.
Cause you know we're about to hit that 17.
Yeah. So, so, you know, it's important. So I don't know if that's helpful, but, and don't be ashamed. Don't feel guilty to go and take some time for yourself. And do not let anybody guilt trip you in.
Don't fall
to
for the
feeling
okie doke
like
guilt trip. Like you're doing something wrong.
You're doing something wrong. Because again, you know you better than anybody else know you.
Oh, I'm about to. You said like some great things. There's only one thing that I would add to that, but I'm gonna retouch those great things that you said. One of the first things that I would say is lean on your support system. I think that is crucial because there's sometimes where, like you said, I don't even know how we're gonna do it, and yet still we have people in our corner that help us tremendously. Like invaluable. You can't even put a price tag to how valuable a good support system is. So who do you got in your corner that can help you out? Don't be afraid to lean on them, because at the end of the day, if you have them in your corner, there's a reason you have them in your corner, and you trust them enough to help you. So don't be afraid to lean on your support system.
And sometimes you may have support system, but your support system is also busy.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're like, oh my God,
that's true. But
who
lean
do I
on them,
have?
but work with them also, because that's one thing that we have to do. We have to work with, we're all busy, but being able to try to see how you can work with the people you have.
I would say try to have some support system who don't have like
as busy
young
lives,
children, family life. That's like, no, honestly.
No, seriously.
We have a lot of people in our corners, but at the same
they busy
time,
just like we busy.
They have children, they have work, they have, all the stuff that we may have,
but
they also
in the same sense, but we have called on them in times where we need them to be like, hey, and they've been able to call on us.
And also, don't overwork your support system.
Don't abuse your support. Then you're going to lose the support.
Exactly.
You're going to burn out your support system. Don't burn them out.
Burn out your support system.
But don't be afraid to use them if you really need the help too. Another thing that I did want to touch on that you said that I think was very important was that don't be afraid to take time when you need it. Because at the end of the day, and this is how I look at things. This is how I look at things when it comes time to take a break. Like, let's say, God forbid, something happens to you and you can't do what you do.
The work will go
You
on.
can't do, let's say you can't do your job, or you can't work in ministry, or, as much as people love you,
they will replace
give it enough time. You are not irreplaceable. They will replace you. They will replace you. And maybe it'll take a week. Maybe it'll take 2 weeks. Maybe it'll take a month. Maybe it'll take a year. But you will be replaced. So you need to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Don't be afraid to take care of yourself. Don't let anyone make you
to go on vacation.
Don't let anyone make you feel bad about taking time off if you need it. Your mental health and well-being is the most important thing that you have. That you need to take care of that. You can't work the machine until it breaks down.
No.
Another piece of advice I would try to give is try to designate times for you to do certain things. Like if you want to get back in the gym, I look at our lives. We always try to designate at least once a week to play some games with the family, to do something with the family. Yes?
Game,
movie, we try to do something. The daytime, that's usually, Miss Charity Grace's time, because she runs around and does everything. Like she's a lot. She's a lot. At night, that's usually our time. We'll sit, we'll watch some TV, we'll talk, we'll do some things, Then in the mornings, we try to get our devotion time in, where we come together, we, do our family devotion. We pray. I try to get my devotion in the morning before everyone wakes up, because After that, it gets a little harder
Gets
to
busy.
actually, get able to do. But try to designate times for you to do certain things. And that'll help you to, you start to put it in perspective, of a schedule. And that can help you to actually get things accomplished. If it's something you want to do frequently, try once a week at first. And then as time avails itself, add more to it. But just try to designate specific times to get certain things done. And that kind of helps with the balance piece.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Wow. This was good.
You got anything else you want to add to the people?
That's it. That's it. My biggest thing is, don't be like me when we first, before I recognize and realize what it really is. Don't be like me and just feel guilty about stuff or be a people pleasers, because you will come to a point where you realize that the only person that you need to make sure is doing well and to try to please all the time is you.
You have to. You have to take yourself into account.
You really have to.
And it's not being selfish, but it's
not. But you know what though? I tell myself, it's funny because we went to Jules and Jeans, and one of the topic was, no, it wasn't the topic, but someone was talking, and they were talking about it, and they were like, you know what, this year I'm going to be selfish. And it wasn't in a bad way. And when they explained it how they did, I took it and I said, you know what, I'm about to be selfish too.
So I'm gonna say it like this, and I'm gonna use it in this term, and people may be like, well, that's not the biblical context of that. But they say our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. If you don't take care of your temple, what do you think is going to happen?
It's going to fall.
So it's not really about being selfish, but it's about really taking care of yourself.
Yeah, and that's when I said that. That's what the person was talking about. They were like, you know what? I'm going to be selfish because I am going to think about me. It's going to be about me. And I took it and I was like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear this.
I think it's honestly our duty to take care of ourselves.
So when I heard that, I was like, yep, this year I'm going to be selfish and I'm going to take care of me. So it used to faze me. It used to bother me when I feel like I'm not doing what people want me to do. But I've come to realize that people could care less.
Yep.
So because I've realized it, and I know when I'm getting tired and feeling like I'm about to just explode, I have to know when to take care of myself, because I know what I'm feeling. Other people, they see, but they don't know what you're feeling.
That's true.
So I know what I'm feeling.
Self-awareness is important.
I know what my body's telling me. So therefore, I'm like, okay, yes, it's time to stop everything. It's time to focus on you. I don't care. It may take a whole year. That's okay.
Hey.
That's what I need.
Hey, if that's what it takes for you to be whole and to be well, then take your time. But people, take care of yourself. Remember, death and life are in the power of your tongue. So make sure you speak life. We love y'all, and we will see you soon.
See you soon.
God
1 year
bless
is
you. It's coming. That's going to be something. Woo! We going in the right direction.
All right.
Have a great week, people.
Have a great week.